Welcome to the It's All Fine and Dangy podcast, where hosts Dan and Angie talk with creatives, small business owners, charities, and all kinds of interesting people. It's all real talk. It's all fine and dangy.
Well, hello, and welcome to the It's All Fine and Dangy podcast. Welcome back. If you are a previous listener, we hope you are. And if you're a new listener, welcome to the show, and thank you for coming to check out what we do here.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much. We appreciate you each and every week that you join us on the show.
I love how you always say that. You always break that down for us.
I do.
I know. I love it. So I started to say we're in studio today. We're at the dining room table today, which is our new MO since we broke the studio down.
It's called Kitchen Talk.
It's Kitchen Talk with Fine and Dangy.
Hey, any talk is good talk.
That's right. That's right. And so as you just heard, we have a guest today at the dining room table. We're very excited today to meet with Jaclyn Bhattcharyya. Did I say it right?
Almost. You got no. It's fine.
Okay.
So
hey, as much as people probably butcher your name, I think that was pretty good. We did practice a little bit ahead of time.
You guys did great.
We practiced a lot. Let's be honest.
Hey, we all had a little phonetic sound along, sing along, talk along, whatever it was. We figured it out.
So Jaclyn, how do you say your last name?
Bhattacharya.
Bhattacharya.
She sounds it so much.
She says it.
I'm still
prettier.
not saying it. I'm still not saying it right.
Tell us the real pronunciation of it, though.
Bhattacharya.
Okay,
Bhattacharya. That's easier to me.
Is it?
Bhattacharya?
It's like taking the whole American phonetics out of it and just changing it into something else. So it's not, you're not thinking about it so hard.
Yeah, Bhattacharya. It's smooth.
It sounds a little more like musical, kind of.
Maybe.
You know?
Well, I wonder if I get home and my husband hears this eventually, he's gonna be like, "Oh my God, I think you actually butchered the actual way to say it." So I'm like, "Well, we'll find out, guys."
Buddy, you gave me this hard name, okay?
Why do we think it's Bhatta Designs?
Well,
I did not commit to the whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, that speaking of which, so just for those of you listening, Bhatta Designs Creative Studio is where Jaclyn is from. So we're going to get into what that is, what your business is, what you do, how you help other small businesses, and all kinds of really cool stuff.
All the nitty gritty.
Let's
of
get
what
down
it
to
is you do.
All the big and little things. Do you remember that used to be our intro?
Oh, yeah. The big and little things that make life great.
I haven't gone back that far. I'm not going to lie to you guys.
Well, we have a lot of episodes, so you would have a lot to listen to.
I started listening about 6 or 7 months ago.
Oh, very nice.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that.
Of course.
So how did you hear about us, Jaclyn? We always forget to ask people that. But
I heard about you guys through Whimsy.
Oh, yes, of course.
So
love those girls.
They are so sweet.
They really are, yes.
Yes, and that's actually where I kind of got my start in the area. So I
was going to ask, so you heard about us through somebody, either the Whimsy girls or somebody there. So how did you get that start?
Actually, I had a classmate of mine that I graduated with from Eustis. She reached out to me and she's like, "Hey, I see all the stuff that you're posting on your page. You should join this group." And I'm like, "Okay, I'll give it a shot." And I ended up really, really loving it. I love the environment. And,
Was this like a small business group or something like that?
Yes,
you joined?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
It was the Whimsy Waffle page.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, we're very familiar.
Yes.
For sure.
It's addictive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
a little bit. You just scroll sometimes. You're just like, ooh, what can I bid on?
I ended up creating a little bit of a budget in my monthly budget. It was waffle budget.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that is hilarious.
And again, for those of you listening that aren't familiar with the Whimsy Waffle, it's when we had the Whimsy Market ladies on, they talked a little bit about this a couple episodes ago, but it's the Facebook site where you can go and it's sort of a raffle to win a product or a service from a local business. And it's really cool because they give a certain amount of slots, and basically everyone, like a typical raffle that, takes a spot or two or as many as you want, is helping to pay for the cost. So if you win, you get something at such a minimal cost. I've won before. It's really, really cool.
But the small business still gets the full cost of their product or service, which I love.
And you're making everyone aware of these small businesses. We've discovered a bunch of them on there too. So It's very cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what kind of stuff were you posting whenever you first started in the waffles?
When I first started.
It's such a weird thing to say, waffles, but I get it.
When I first started, I wasn't 100% sure what direction I was going in. I've always been very creative. And I like to, mess around with things that are tangible, but I also enjoy so much digital creative.
Yeah, we started to talk about that a little bit before we started. So
I started before I even bought this iPad, I had a laptop that I had in college that happened to be touchscreen.
Oh, nice.
And I forget the name of the software I was using, but it wasn't very, I don't want to say user friendly. It wasn't
intuitive, or
yes.
Yeah.
It like the user experience on it was not so great.
Is where you have to keep fiddling around with it to try to figure out how to do something.
And they did not have layers.
Oh, that's almost impossible for me.
Yes.
Yeah, Dan loves that on the iPad when he's doing art or whatever, the different layers. And
again, for those of you listening, I'm going to keep saying that, but like if you draw or paint at all and you don't do it digitally, then this may sound interesting to you, but when you can draw or paint in layers, you can literally paint underneath a layer that you already painted by just turning it off. Or you can move something from the background to the foreground, and it really makes it a lot easier to paint and draw and stuff. So that's where you started with digital?
Yes. So I started with that, and then shortly after that, I was like, okay, this doesn't make sense. Why don't I go ahead, spend the money, buy the iPad, buy the pencil, and actually dive into this? Like, why not go into it full force?
Yeah.
And then I just I was on maternity leave, which ended up just staying like I've been on a 2-year maternity leave at this point.
Well, hey, just stay on it forever.
Hey, it was one of those things where I was like, what can I do to where I can spend time with my son and not have him feel like, where's my mom all day?
Oh, I love that you were thinking that way though.
And at first it was really stressful because we had relocated from Gainesville to Mount Dora. And once we kind of adjusted, everything fell into place.
Okay, cool.
So I started to explore my digital creativity.
Oh, nice.
And I started out drawing my own sticker designs and just all kinds of things. I've had people actually reach out to me and say, hey, do you do murals? And I'm like, not in real life. Like I do them on the iPad.
Yeah.
And I was like, you could actually have it wrapped around your food truck. And this woman, she reached out to me. She took a leap of faith in me, and I actually created a mural for her mini donut food truck.
That is cool.
Oh, that is amazing.
Because when you create it on the iPad, I think you can set the pixel. I don't know what any of that stuff is, but you can set it to where if they blow it up, it's not going to be grainy or pixelated, right? Am I using the right terms?
You're on the right track.
Okay.
And the thing about that is when you use vector images, have you ever seen on like TikTok or something where somebody has a scene that they've created, they zoom in and it's like infinite. Like they have little scenes within scenes because it never ends.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's because vectors, I'm going to go nerd again, but vector art cleans itself up as you go. So you could print it as big as this house or as small as your phone, and it cleans itself up to where it's sort of auto scales itself and tightens itself back up. Like when we made the logo for the health and wellness business, that was a vector image.
Oh, cool. So you could just blow the sign up.
It's really neat
for marketing in your store or whatever.
Yeah.
But I love that this small business took a chance on another
Me
small
too.
business
Right.
and
It
said,
was
let's
so
do
crazy
it.
to me. I was like,
Shout out to the business.
oh yeah, Nani's Mini Donuts.
There you go.
Oh, very nice.
She is so sweet, and she actually was my very first large sticker order. She ordered 1,000 stickers from me.
Awesome.
I was like, oh my gosh.
Was that before or after the wrap of the vehicle?
That was before.
Okay.
So I had kind of given her this idea because she was like, I want stickers. I don't know exactly what I want on them. I'm like, okay, you do donuts. She was like, yeah, I want a donut. I said, great. I did a little drawing for a donut, put her name on the front of it with her font, all of that stuff. And every so often I get a message from her, hey, I need some more stickers.
Wow.
But it's
so
really
you
sweet.
designed the sticker for her. She kind of gave you the idea and you did that custom
Absolutely.
design.
And
cool. So
same thing with the mural.
So you're definitely artsy then, because
Oh, yeah.
a donut would probably look like a Cheerio if I drew it. It would be so bad.
But everybody has their own medium. Everybody has their own specialty.
Yep.
If, for example, I went to the Colored Easel for an event that's located in Leesburg, and they do all kinds of classes and interactive things where they guide you on how to paint.
That is cool.
I was a train wreck They were like, Jackie, aren't you creative? And I'm like, when you put an iPad in front of me, but when
Isn't that funny?
when you put real things in front of me, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't change the transparency. I can't move this.
You have no
it's
idea
forever.
how relatable this is to me, because if you gave me like an easel and some paint, like we went and did like the wine and painting thing, and it was a really fun date, but you didn't want the art I made afterwards.
No,
It was like,
no.
I kept mine. It's still in my office actually, but
Is it like a reminder?
yes, it's like
This
stick
is why
to what
I
you're
do
good
digital.
at. Stick to what you're good at.
I know. Yeah, like what did we do with ours? She like donated it to somebody. Maybe somebody will look at it and go, I love that.
Right.
No.
I wasn't even daring enough to do that.
Oh my
It's just
gosh.
staying in my office for
Yeah.
eternity.
Yeah, because then you sign your name on it too. So now they know who made the art.
funny
They
thing-
do make you sign your name, don't they?
I did. And the funny thing is that whenever we took a group picture, I was like in the middle and I was like so excited. And they were like, Jackie, you know how to like do the digital stuff. I was like, yeah. So I helped her get the camera set up. And then I came back. I was holding mine upside down.
You could fix it in post.
I probably could, but I did not because they posted it already.
Oh, okay.
I was like, well, that's there forever. The internet's forever.
Whatever. So it sounds like you kind of started with smaller orders as far as like the stickers.
Absolutely.
Pretty simple. Now, how did you get started in that process? Did you work with a printer? Did you order the printer yourself to do it at home? Like, I want to kind of interested in how that worked.
Everything except for like a few specialty items, things that I'm not 100% comfortable with actually like cutting myself.
Okay.
I'll have sent off. But everything as far as like stickers, my planners, everything start to finish is in my office in my house.
Oh,
That's
cool.
awesome.
So what kind of
So-
equipment do you use for that kind of stuff?
That's a very good question. So I did a lot of research on printers before I went ahead and invested in one. What I ended up doing is I found a printer with Epson, and it's an eco tank. So, you know, all the ones with Shaq on his advertisements and everything. And the thing that drew me to it is that it had such a high DPI quality.
But I don't know what that means.
That
so
means
this guy
dots
does.
per inch.
Okay, thank you.
So like, essentially some printers, the way that they work, it's kind of like they're just dropping dots.
Yeah.
Like micro dots. So when you have a high DPI printer, you can get a lot more detail, even if it's a smaller image. So that's what I was really interested in. Now the printer
Because you're making
itself-
stickers, so you want them
Right.
to look like it's a nice piece of artwork on that logo or whatever you're designing.
Exactly. And
Cool.
I started initially I had a little inkjet printer, and I was like, this isn't doing it for me. Like it wasn't. I was like,
Yeah.
I need to set myself apart. So I went ahead. I was like, well, I already bought the iPad. I may as well throw a couple $100 more in on this printer. But it's honestly, it's paid for itself, and I enjoy it so much that I'm going to probably get another one, but the bigger version.
Yeah. So you can do larger formats of the stickers and stuff?
Absolutely.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. So like it's almost like the difference between a television and a 4K television, where you can see the pixels if you sit too close.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I have seen the stickers that you have created from previous businesses that we have had on the show.
Yeah, like
and
Southern Wiener,
It's a sticker I want to grab to put on, like I put them on my MacBook, on the clear MacBook. Like I have your stickers on my MacBook. I'm 100%. I have quite a few of them, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, but they're the type of sticker that look like art. So
They look like you bought them. Yeah.
I don't want just like a crappy one that's just going to peel off, because I use my Mac a lot. So
That's the beauty of vinyl.
yeah, but they definitely stand out. 100% they stand out. So you've done a very good job in that. My next question would be, so now some of them are in different shapes. Who's cutting out that shape? Like, how does that happen?
I cannot take credit for that. My hands are not that steady. But I do have to give credit to Silhouette. That's a company who has it's a competitor of Cricut. A lot of people know Cricut and whatnot, and their software is very user friendly for a beginner. Silhouette has different levels of, tools to use within their software and different editions. And what I found, my personal preference was that the cuts were a lot more precise. Even though the machine might be a little bit louder than a Cricut is, that's like the one big complaint everybody has. I'm just like,
It's the quality,
all in there.
But hold on. So I'm just curious about the process. But like these odd shapes and stuff. So the machine does the cut of whatever shape you put in there.
So yes and no. I have to set it up.
Okay.
So for example, like Chloe's sticker right here.
Yep.
She sent me the file because unfortunately I can't take credit for her newer logo.
Yep.
I totally wanted to. And she was like, I already got somebody. I was like, you know what? You go, girl. Like, get what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And let me know if you need anything. So she came back and she was like, yeah, can you do some of these stickers? And I had the file, and there's a feature where you can not trace, but you can. Oh man.
Is it like I'm just thinking
Outline.
in terms of like an auto. Oh, okay. So like it's an offset from the.
That's exactly the word I was looking for. Mind
So
fog.
yeah.
Well,
So in
hey,
the
it
software I
happens.
use, so you do an offset of the outer shape, and that's automatically the shape it needs to cut. But is there a blade in that thing that knows to travel any path you tell it to? That's neat.
Yeah, there sure is. And there are a lot of troubleshooting things that you have to go through whenever you're first learning.
Sure.
Like there's a whole bunch of different things that I'm excited about. Like if I'm doing a big order, now I might actually be able to, instead of loading and unloading individual sheets on a like sticky mat
Right.
to put it in there and hold it in place, they actually have what's called an auto feeder. So if you're not cutting entirely through the sheet, which if I'm doing a big wholesale order, it's usually on sheets anyway.
Right.
So you load the paper in, it connects to the Cameo, which is the actual model name of it.
Right.
So it takes it in, it cuts it, and then it kind of like a printer, it like will reject it when it's done into a bottom slot and then pull the next sheet.
So it just sits there chugging
that is
away
so
until it's
cool.
done. That's really nice.
But one thing as a misconception is that people are like, oh, so you can just set it up and walk away. Oh no. You
'cause
never
it's-
want to walk away from
no.
that.
Can I tell you, to bore the
Yeah.
audience for a minute, but I came from the engineering world 30-some years in now, but we had what's called pen plotters back in the day. So it was a piece of paper. If you picture a piece of paper, giant piece of paper sort of wrapped over maybe like the bar in your closet that your hangers are on.
Almost like a typewriter, kind of.
Kind of, but this big piece of paper would move all the way over the bar one way and back over the bar the other way while this pen was writing on top of the bar. And it might take 6 hours to do one drawing. But if the pen fell out or dried out, so same kind of thing. People would say, oh, you just set it and forget it. You're like, no, if you don't watch it and it goes south in the middle, it will waste all of your supplies. I'm assuming the same with this, right?
I got goosebumps. I never met anybody else who understood that from the jump.
Yeah.
I've had my trial and error. You know, if my son is like, Mama, and I'm like, oh no, I like walk out of my office. I always have an eye on him, of course.
Of course.
I have cameras all over my house. And
Yep. Same.
We're watching you now, Jaclyn. We're watching you.
So it's just one of those things where I was like, okay, I walk away for a second, make sure he's doing okay, and then, once I get him settled and I spend some time with him, I come back and I find just a mess.
Oh,
like whether the blade might have pulled it up off of the cutting mat, or
Oh my gosh.
the blade decided, I'm gonna go my own path today. I'm not gonna go by the parameters you've set.
Yeah.
But I think it's important
that
for
sucks.
people to know that, especially if they're going to buy your services, because it's not like it makes the value more for what they're paying for. It's not like they're paying you to push a button. You know what I mean? It starts
absolutely.
feeling like a ripoff if it was something like that. But the fact that you have to sit there, first of all, you got to put the whole thing together, but then you got to watch it. It just makes you more efficient, really. That the thing can go so fast.
Absolutely. I've definitely improved my process over time.
Yeah.
I, instead of only having one of the cutting machines, now I have two. So one is the normal Cameo 4, which will cut a 12-inch width. And then with that, you can go, I think, up to 10 feet in length.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
So if I'm working with vinyl, I also dabbled in vinyl to the point where I do storefronts for people.
I
and
was going to
things like
ask,
that.
that's larger logos that you can create for businesses that actually have a brick and mortar location.
Absolutely. So one of those things is why I bought the other machine, which is I like to call it maybe like the big sister of this other one that I have. It's double the width. So it will cut up to 24 inches wide. And then I don't want to speak out of turn, but I think it will go further than 10 feet in length.
Holy moly. That's a big sign, though. You
Wow.
probably don't have a sign that is much bigger than that ever. Unless it's a wrap
depends.
for a car.
I won't ever. I will not ever do wraps on my own. Oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah, that's
another art in itself.
Yeah, but you do the vinyl installation on storefronts and
Absolutely.
vehicles as well. Like if somebody wants a big sticker, or it's called a sticker, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean,
for the
it doesn't
back of
matter how
their
big it
car
is.
to rep their business. You do stuff, the actual installation of that, so they don't have to worry about messing it up.
Yesterday, I was on an 8-foot ladder on Bay Street in Eustis.
Wow.
So I mean, like
Right down the road from me.
I mean,
where I
honestly,
work.
I was like, oh, I haven't gotten honked at today. I was like, I must not be looking so great.
But you know what that makes?
They're probably scared to honk at you if you're on an 8-foot
Yeah,
ladder.
that's true.
You'd be surprised.
But-
It's especially the truckers.
I mean, it's one thing to be able to print it, to be able to install it, which is all very impressive. But you could hire a company to do that doesn't know how to do design. You actually do the design of the logos too, right? You do everything from conception of the logo to drawing the logo itself to getting it the size that you need and then to getting it on anything you want it on.
Yeah, I'm like the one-stop shop kind of.
That is really impressive to me.
That is amazing. But what I love too is that you are a small business catering to other small businesses.
That's what I love. I love that connection.
And we love, that's what our show is all about. You know what I mean? So we love when we find somebody that is just trying to build up that community. And the small business community is so supportive of each other.
They are. I love it.
And
yes.
And I love that. So I was looking over your website, and you're making it very affordable for these small businesses to work with somebody that helps either rebrand them, create a brand for them. Talk a little bit about why that was important to you as far as the cost. Because, you need to make money too, but you have a couple things in place that kind of help kind of offset that for the small businesses.
Absolutely. So when I created my website, which I also did that myself, it took me a long time, a lot longer than I wanted it to.
Can I interrupt you for 1 minute to
Yeah.
say we looked at your website earlier today and we're commenting on how great it is. I'm not just saying that because, and again, this isn't a slam to any small business, but it's not uncommon to go to a small business website and be like, they need help.
Yeah.
Because it's a mess.
Because
Sorry
it's hard.
for the noise.
Yeah,
We
like
got
you
that.
said, it takes a lot of time to get it to kind of represent your business the way it needs to and be user-friendly as well.
Right.
Right.
Not just user-friendly, but appealing. So you can
Yeah,
have a user-friendly
visually
website
appealing.
that just looks like you taped it together because you're a small business and you're learning. It looks very professional. So props to you for that.
My heart. It's still not exactly even completed yet. So I still have to put
we
my,
know that's that we still add stuff to ours.
Okay, it's a never-ending process. That's a beautiful
it so
thing.
is. Or I
Yeah.
will look at ours after meticulously going through it for hours and days and months and go, oh my
I'll
God,
change that.
that's been wrong for 6 months.
Yeah, it happens.
But especially when we have the capacity to just do it ourselves,
Yes.
that's when it gets really tempting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because my original logo is obviously it's different from this one.
Sure.
And even now, I'm like, oh man, I have so much more capability. I could do so much
Let's
more
change
with
it
this.
again.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily want to.
Because it's your brand. You got to be careful.
Right.
And that,
Yeah.
that is so, not to
Like,
tie this back
Dan
to
and I don't completely look like this
Anymore, right.
But it's our brand. It's what people recognize
Angie's
about
pointing
us.
to the cartoon heads, and let's be honest, every cartoon emoji thing of me looks like me because I have the cartoon head, but in real life. But I have thought, should we add some gray hair on me? Should we? You know what I mean? It's like, or you just stick with your logo? I think
Don't
it's
add
smart.
any gray hair on me.
I think it's
I don't
smart to
think
just
either of you
stick with
could.
it.
I mean, you could if you wanted to, but I mean, why? Why change it up?
Leave it. People know it.
If it's
That's-
not broke, don't fix it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think what happens is if you change your logo, what happens is even with the same business name, people might be like, yeah, that's not who I used before because they remember the logo. It's,
Yeah.
they're familiar with it. So, once you're establishing your brand like you've done, I would definitely stick with the logo all the way through.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's why I haven't. And
Yeah.
the other thing on the other side of that people don't realize is when they're rebranding or when they are actually setting their businesses up, how many different spaces and how many different sizes of images to make sure that it's not pixelated that you have to go through. So think about like 20, 30, maybe more sometimes, different images that you're going to have to change.
Do it
if
again.
you have your products watermarked. You have to go through and do all of that again.
Yes, what a nightmare.
So, I mean, it's definitely one of those things where you have to really be ready to dive in. And that's why I want to help with people.
Right. Yeah. When you design people's logos, see, having all that in your head when you do it is invaluable, just as much as your artistic talent, because you can make the donut logo for the donut truck or whatever, but you also want to make sure that your client really likes it, because you don't want them to say in 3 months, 6 months, I think I'm going to change that.
Absolutely.
So making sure you have that discussion with them because of your own experience is probably super valuable.
They need to
too.
know the importance of that. And I like it. So having a company like yours to know all that stuff, because when you're starting a business, a small business by yourself, you don't know that. You don't know, oh, I need, it needs to be this shape for this social media platform, or this shape for this. It's not cut off, and, oh, I need it so if I can print it real little or real big. Yes. And you're probably, I'm going to assume that you're big on keeping the brand the same throughout all social media platforms. We've talked about this on the show before. Yeah. Keeping the name the same. Don't make it different here or there, because it's harder for people to find you.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of people are visual.
Yeah.
A lot of people are visual. Think about when you go down the aisle at the store. You're looking for your brand of ketchup.
Yeah.
And are you really reading a name? No, you're looking for that packaging.
I have a great example of that. So the Aunt Jemima pancake company, they changed the name of it because it was, it's racist. You can tell by the name of it. We never thought of that, but now as we're being made more aware of those old brands that need to be changed. Well, I bought it the other day. And it looks exactly the same. It's the same color box. It's the same color logo. And it just to what you just said, I didn't even I got home and realized it was a different name, because you're just looking at the color and the shape and
font,
and
everything
font,
like that. Mm-hmm.
And we're all very visual that way.
I'm
so
such a font snob.
Yeah,
me
too.
Even know.
Me too. Do you know all about the font app? That was one of the one I told Whimsy, but there's an app on your phone where you can take a picture of a font anywhere and it'll tell you what it is.
Adobe actually has something like that.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
It's Adobe Capture is what I use.
Yeah.
So if somebody's bringing to me a brand that they are not familiar with, what was actually put into it, that's another important thing. Mm-hmm. Whenever you're delivering a brand to somebody, if they want to create their own social media, if they want to create everything and it still stays consistent, they need to know what are they putting into that. The font, the colors, and that's a beautiful thing. You present them with a layout of, hey, this is your font. These are your exact colors. Here are the color codes if you want to get that much further into it.
Yes, that's super valuable too, because if they want to go do a post, say they want to use Canva or something to go make hey, we got a thing coming up this weekend, they can make sure the colors are right. They can make sure the font's right, because you've already given them all that.
Absolutely.
So you're like an interior designer for the brand, though.
Yeah. Honestly, that's a good way to put it.
Because, interior designers, when they're designing a home, they'll bring you the swatches and this is your color palette and this is your, your patterns.
Example.
Yeah, that's what you are.
These are the things that big businesses and big companies do, and they understand. The fact that you're helping small businesses do it.
I love it.
I love it too, because it falls back into that whole thing where you see a post and you don't even know it's the same company because it looks so different. Or one that Angie and I talk about, and this is probably because I'm a techie person, but if your social media is facebook.com/Daniel Fox Books, then your Instagram should be Daniel Fox Books, and your website should be Daniel. And it shouldn't be Daniel Fox Books Florida or 2023. And I know we know businesses that have done that out of necessity, but the challenge is, if I go to tag you in an Instagram post or something, I can't even find you now.
Where's that underscore? There's an underscore here now.
Right.
What's going on?
So you're on another device because you're in the middle of a post. So now you got to go get your iPad or another phone and search it. And then you go back and it's a mess.
Well, I also feel like it's because people are so, we get caught up in the name of what we want our business to be.
Yes.
That we're unwilling to change it if all that stuff's not available. So I feel like that is the first step, right? You really love this name, but it's taken. And if somebody types in that email or, types that in, they're going to take you to a totally different website.
Yeah.
Well, that's another thing, is that whenever somebody approaches me, I'm not sure if you guys had seen on my website, but I should have a little pop-up if you're browsing the logo packages, where I have a questionnaire.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
kind of go through everything. I'm like, hey, what would you like? What colors do you not like? Like, what colors are off limits? What colors do you love?
Guiding them. Yeah, that's
Yes.
nice.
Because I don't want to sit here and say, I think you should do this. That's not necessarily what I want to be.
Yeah.
I want to take suggestion and then go off of that. And I'm not truly happy unless I can get a response from that person and be like, you know what? I absolutely love this.
That's really smart on your part for your own protection and
your
for their
time.
brand protection.
Absolutely.
And for your time.
Yeah.
That's another element.
But
of
also
that.
for their time, because you're
They're paying.
they're
yeah.
paying you, and I've made that mistake doing website design for companies where they just give me a little bit of information, then I take off, and Angie, you've been witness to this, and then I give it back to them, and they go,
Oh,
"That's
that's not
not
what I
at
want."
all."
We don't
what
like
I-
any of this.
I don't like those colors,
And it looks beautiful.
and
but
I don't like those colors because I never asked. So you have to ask because they're not
Beauty
going to
is-
volunteer that.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
And that's same with digital creation.
Absolutely.
If you're staring at it, if you're paying for it, it's kind of like a car.
yeah.
Yeah.
When you go and you invest in a vehicle, you're like, ooh, I like the car, but the dashboard, I'm like, I don't know, I'm really weird about
Yeah.
dashboards. When I looked for a car, I was like, everything else about this car looks great. The dashboard, we're gonna have to change it up.
It's going to bug you. It's going to
Yeah.
keep bugging you.
Oops.
I
Yeah,
bought a
banged your
car years
table.
ago. I
Well,
bought
we make noises around here
you do.
sometimes. I'm pretty sure I'm hungry because I'm
What-
pretty sure
I
you
was
just
gonna
heard my
ask-
Stomach, I heard
asked
it.
you guys. I was like, oh, you guys know about all the local eats? I haven't eaten yet either. Let's go get something to eat.
Oh, that would have been great because I
Yes.
heard that too, Angie. I wasn't going to say anything, but you said it.
Well,
I
I
didn't
always
say anything.
point out the funny
It's okay.
things that
That's
happen
beautiful,
because
though.
you know
It
If
is.
you point it out first,
Then
it's
it's
less
okay.
likely that anybody else is going to make fun of you for it. That's like my motto.
Yes, then we know it's fair and it's fun because
Yeah.
I don't want to embarrass anybody, but yeah, I agree.
I don't really get embarrassed, so
Yeah.
it wouldn't even matter.
That's
if
true.
you
That's true.
I think we're on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
Like somebody's like, I would be mortified. I'm like, really? I'm laughing at that. What's happening?
whatever.
Well, you guys
part of
have
life.
probably seen the 200 postings I've done of the videos of me running into stuff in the house. So there's,
Yeah.
obviously I have no
Yeah,
shame.
he does.
You do like calendars, planners,
we have a beautiful
stickers,
one in front
wraps.
of us right now.
Yeah.
Can you maybe
totally
give an idea of the products that you make? It sounds like it's pretty much anything.
I mean, anything that you can create from a digital platform, like anything that can be made tangible. I kind of like to refer people. I don't like to say the name. I don't like to give them that extra platform because they're already so big. But things like Vistaprint, like things
yeah.
like that.
Oh, yeah.
The possibilities that are there and more, like things are endless. And that's the beauty of this. You don't want to wake up every single day and feel like a robot doing the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I love is that I can wake up one day and be doing a mural of donuts flying out of a gaping hole of a food truck
Yeah.
onto an umbrella. Like what?
That's
Super
pretty cool.
fun.
It
If
keeps
you
it
can-
interesting. Yeah, like you
especially
said.
if you can draw and you have that talent. That's amazing because you can flex your creativity and get paid for it still.
I'm still in disbelief.
Yeah.
I was like, I can get paid for this.
I can make money.
I
What?
can-
I know. I
What?
can stay home with my kid and work and have my own thing too. Because I wanted
Right.
to bring that out. I love that you're, stay home with the baby and make sure he,
He's
don't-
alive,
Well, he's alive, but so that you don't miss those things,
Of
right?
course.
Those little moments. But also you're kind of doing something for you too.
And that's-
Because
it's
us
fulfilling.
mamas can lose ourselves in those children and dads. We can lose ourselves in the kids and we need something for ourselves,
like
So
a puppy.
Sorry to
The
say
pup-
it, Dan, but the men kind of drive us crazy too. The animals, just like the hecticness of that's not even a word, is it?
It doesn't matter. We know
On
what
this
you mean.
show, it
It's
is.
a word.
That's right. It is a word
It
now.
is a
Put
word
it in the
now.
Urban Dictionary.
That is right, baby. We make up words on this show all the time.
Yeah.
But in the craziness of it all, I step back and I'm like, I've never felt more fulfilled in my life. I have
Oh,
done
how
so many
great.
different jobs. And
That's
like I mentioned
awesome.
earlier to you guys, I worked in property management and I felt okay going home at the end of the day. But in that industry, there's so many different things that happen that people don't realize
Yeah.
that can really bring itself home with you.
And very competitive too.
Yes. So I took my competitive spark that I gained from that, and that's actually where I decided. That's why I was like, you know what? Why don't I just do this? I had a lot of my residents people within the companies that I was working with, they were like, when are you going to start your own thing? Like,
And you got all these people encouraging you, and you're like,
I don't know.
yeah, why?
Wait,
We're
what?
our own worst enemy sometimes when it comes to
Absolutely.
that. We just question, oh, can I do it? Can I do it? No, I can't. I can't get that started. Yeah.
Getting encouragement from other people is huge too. I feel like if
Absolutely.
you've never had that, maybe you have, but I spent a lot of my life not getting encouragement, and Angie is so supportive. It makes you do things you never thought you could do. Sometimes even the most confident people just need that little voice to go,
Yeah.
you're not crazy. You could actually pull this off. So it
Yeah,
sounds like you had a
thanks.
good supportive environment too.
This is actually very recent for me.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, it is.
Yes. Like even sometimes when I go home to my family and I'm like, hey, look at this. They're like, I don't get the response that I'm necessarily expecting.
Yeah.
But then, I'm about to be spending 2 months in India
Yeah.
meeting
you
my
told me,
in-laws for the first time.
How
We've been
cool
married
is
for
that?
5 years.
Yeah.
We've had our son for almost 2.
Oh, it's going to be
So-
so emotional and
It
just fun.
is.
And yeah.
But like the support that I get from my I love to call them my parents anyway. So
Yeah,
like
yeah.
my parents on that side of the world, it's just like it's a
that's
different
amazing.
feeling.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
amazing. You
That's-
guys haven't even met in the flesh, and you're getting
Right.
that support. So that's great.
Hopefully by the time this airs, I'll be like sitting with them. I'll be like, listen, I'm talking about you
Listen,
guys.
I'm on
that's-
a show.
But it sounds like your
talking about
husband has
you,
been
yeah.
supportive of it too, though.
Absolutely. He is
Yeah.
one of my number one supporters.
I love that.
I mean, like even when I'm like down on myself and
Yeah.
I'm like, did I take on more than I could chew? There's been times, let's be honest.
Everybody does that for sure.
There has been times, especially when, I was approached and was like, hey, can you put this on a trailer? I'm like, I can try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did it turn out the way I wanted it to? No. And of course I was very fair. I made sure I paid them back everything that needed to be.
Right.
But I was like, I tried it, and that might not necessarily be the route I want to continue to go in. And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
where the whole vehicle wrap thing was. I was like,
Yeah.
listen, that's an art in itself.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But
It
those
really
lessons
is.
have to be learned early on in a small business. And I think
Absolutely.
it's good that you do, because then you know which lane you're more comfortable in and you can be the most creative in without feeling restricted, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's always that fear, and if you have that fear, you try it and then you're still not comfortable. It doesn't necessarily mean it's not for you. It means that you're pushing your boundaries.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's
that's
very
true
important.
too.
Yeah.
That's true too, because I feel like you sometimes your biggest discovery is outside of that comfort zone, right? I think that happens a
Absolutely.
lot.
I was working in a corporate job. I was like working 9 to 5s. I was like listening to people talk to me about the issues going on in their apartment. I was dealing with maintenance issues. Like
Yes.
for some reason I have all of this knowledge about the way houses work.
Right.
And all of a sudden I'm thrown into this this life of, oh my gosh, I don't have anything to do. What can I do?
Yeah.
And that's everything. That's everything that happened.
So
It turned into what it is.
that was from when your child was born, or from COVID?
So when my child was born.
Okay.
So I was actually pregnant during COVID.
Yep.
It was terrifying, especially
bet.
because in the apartment industry, there still needs to be somebody there. Like
Yeah.
there still needs to be somebody there to man the fort,
Sure.
basically. Like if I have so many stories I'd be happy to share with you
Oh
guys.
yeah, I bet.
But, the things that happen are just so outlandish that you have to first process what's going on.
Right.
Then think, all right, what's my next steps to create a solution?
Yeah.
And then stop it from happening again.
Right.
So
okay.
like constantly doing that and then stepping into an area of my life where I have no responsibility but to take care of this little life that I
which
created.
is a ton of responsibility.
Biggest
But- yeah.
responsibility.
Well, that's the thing. I thought to myself, going back in hindsight, I'm like, wow, I am actually really wild for starting this like
In the middle of that.
freshly postpartum.
Yeah.
Like freshly postpartum. I'm like sitting here holding him, nursing him, drawing on my iPad. I'm
my gosh.
I'm like, what am I doing?
I
But
love it
it's
though.
because you needed to stay. You needed something to do. You were used to always having that. And let's face it, babies, they eat, they sleep, they poop. that's what they do.
It's a
whenever
lot
they
of work,
first
but
come home. It's a lot of work, but that's what they do. So you have downtime where you can sleep, or you probably weren't sleeping.
That
and
was
you
my- look at
were
these
keeping.
bags.
You would be like this guy who don't take naps. You know what I mean?
But I
like
think-
he has to keep going,
Right.
and giving
and
himself something.
I don't know if this is what it is for you, but just putting myself in that situation, just pretending for a minute, I feel like it's the mental stimulation that you really need, because you can be run ragged taking care of a kid, but you still need some level of, it's that whole thing where you're like, I only speak baby because I've
We
been.
only speak.
Oh my
We only
goodness.
speak corgi.
Right.
Listen, the songs that are in my head on a daily
Oh,
basis,
yes.
you got peanut butter, and
Oh.
jelly. Like,
Oh my God, I know that one. So can I tell you, I was a 50-50 parent from the time my kids were really little. Their mom and I divorced, so I had them 50% of the time, and I was like 150% dad. So it was all the songs, all the shows. I knew all the words to every Wiggle episode.
character.
you were so ready to just jump on stage with them for their little recital.
Oh
He
my
would've.
goodness. Do you know they did a reunion tour around pubs in England, and it was a big hit because
For the
all those
Wiggles?
kids are grown up now. Yeah, so they
That's
so
a
you-
brilliant way to make money.
The Wiggles did it.
gosh.
The Wiggles did a tour, and they had like all the characters and everything. And when I found out they were doing it in pubs, I was like, "That is brilliant," because that's the audience that grew up with the Wiggles.
Exactly. Like, you don't want to be showing up to preschools and like, who are
Who
these
are
people?
these guys?
Why are they talking about apples and bananas?
Yes.
Like, what are those?
Right.
I know, it's so funny.
Ugh,
I
goodness.
want to talk real quick about the binder that you brought us, because
Yes.
Jaclyn made us a custom little binder, and we were talking. I do a lot of digital stuff because Dan has got me into that world, but I like to still physically write stuff down too.
Yep.
I like it in both places.
Yeah.
Because it helps me remember when I write stuff down.
Absolutely.
There's something about the
It's
highlighting
retention.
stuff and
Yeah.
checking stuff. And maybe it's because I was a child of the 80s and we had all those colored pens and stuff. I don't know.
I mean,
Hey,
you are a
I'm-
lot older than me.
Hey,
Whatever.
we're not going to talk about age because I'm younger than you guys, right? But I'm still on the same wavelength. I don't
Yeah,
think
yeah.
age has anything to do
No,
with it.
I was giving her grief because I'm older than her, and she was actually like the 4.5 years or whatever it is.
That's
I'll-
the difference
It's a
between my
huge
husband
gap.
and I always rip on him.
I'll
Yes.
mention like Captain Kangaroo or something. She'll go, I don't know what
I'm
that
too
is."
young. I'm
Yeah.
too young for that.
I was a baby when
Yeah.
that came out.
But I love how this is set up. But have you had people come to you and custom design their own calendar, or because some people want maybe they need a grocery list in there. Have you had
That's-
people actually custom design those before?
That's in the process.
Oh,
so
cool.
ultimately, what I want to be able to do right now, the in-person, the IRL planners is what I'm calling them.
That's in
are-
real life.
Thank you. All these abbreviations.
I'm just laughing so hard because there are acronyms that have curse words in them that my mom was like, "What does that mean?" And I told her something completely different.
Yeah, of course.
And she, specifically FML, I don't remember what I told her it meant, but it was not what it meant.
Yeah.
And she was using it in text, like group text of like extended family. And I'm
Oh.
like, oh no,
No,
this
no,
is not
no.
what I expected for
Oh.
this. Like, I did not expect for you to go that far.
I wish I knew what you told her it was, because it'd be even funnier, but that's great.
Oh my
That
gosh.
is great.
So it's just like one of those things where I am expecting to expand to do that. And I have a few people here and there that I'm willing to experiment on that with. But until I have that method down and until I can break it down for people so they don't get decision paralysis. Because
Sure.
Yes.
right here,
Too many choices.
I get decision paralysis.
Yep.
And you got to help people. You got to guide people through.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they will never really get to that end point that you're needing them to get to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for now, it's just that one format. And I have a couple of different colors. It just depends on what the cover is going to be, what the rings are going to be. All of that stuff is tied in. And it's
But those are refillable as well, right?
Yes.
I love
so
that.
you could, I don't want to say you could yank that stuff out because it is like, it's in there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But you take a few pages out at a time and just like pull it back like an onion.
Add more at the end. Like I'm just saying, like if you reach the end of it, you could add more and
Absolutely.
continue with the same
and
book.
you could even purchase a larger disc.
The binder part. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. So she's pointing at the binder. The size of the circumference of the circle allows more pages in
Right.
there.
So this
Nice.
is considered
okay.
a disc bound planner. And what I
Ah.
actually brought with me so you guys could kind of understand.
Oh,
have you ever seen that brand in planners?
No.
The Happy Planner.
I haven't.
So-
well, maybe I have, but I don't know. I don't recognize
So
it.
this is what I use. It's like a hole punch. And
That
that's exactly
is
what it is.
cool.
But it's specifically
these,
made.
Oh, these are really cool. I wish this is a audio podcast, but it's like the old binders that have like the spiral metal thing. It's not that at all. It's like individual little discs that are about an inch apart all the way down. It's very clean.
I'm going to hold this in the picture that we take after this. So that people
Absolutely.
can see
Oh,
the
that's a good
binder.
idea. That's a good idea.
But you know what? I also have a couple of these. Oh my goodness. So these were one of my this was my very first design for
Oh,
them.
cool.
And it does have some profanity on it, so at your own discretion.
We are not a show who, shies away from that.
We won our E for Explicit award on
Yes,
this show.
we have.
Oh my goodness!
So we
I wish
used
I would
to-
have known that. I would have been talking
Yeah.
normally.
So I knew that if we dropped something, you'd be fine because you have on one of your why can't I talk right now?
I don't know. I love it
On
when
your
you
You're
do
just
this.
so
website.
excited about all the things there.
It says planning never looks so good. Get your shit together.
That's a
like,
great
That
caption too.
is awesome. That is awesome. So I'm like, yeah, if we drop something, she's not gonna.
Oh
she's
gosh,
not gonna care.
no, absolutely
We
not.
used to be a clean show, and we felt very uncomfortable.
Well, I mean,
So-
if it's not your natural way of speaking, it's almost like, well, what am I doing?
I'm in a box. I'm like,
Yeah.
can
And it's
I
funny,
say that?
we're now that we're off the hook, and I feel like we don't curse that much, but it depends. Some episodes we do. I think it
yeah.
depends on what we're talking about, honestly.
And
I
if
mean, we
we've
can
had a
talk
couple
about any-
cocktails,
Hey,
you know.
I
Well,
have
look
a
at we
couple
have
drinks.
this fancy cocktail machine.
Listen, it depends on how long I'm here today. I mean, I'm willing. I am willing to drop a few
Fancy.
F-bombs for a drink.
our Keurig for alcohol back here.
That's beautiful.
The
It's
Bartesian.
literally an arm's length
I
from
really
our-
feel like we should be sponsored by them. Just
One day.
saying.
Bartesian.
Bartesian.
You
But
also do payment plans for small businesses, don't
Yes,
you?
that's what we were talking about
Yeah, see, we
earlier.
got on a tangent.
You
This
know,
is what happens when you
I
have
am-
real
Yeah.
talk.
I have severe ADHD, and that's why I started with these planners. That is what got me started. Being
Mm-hmm.
a mom, trying to keep the house together,
course.
trying to start a small
Juggle
business.
everything. Mhm.
It's like, what do I do? Like, and
Yeah.
I had to find that groove. That's what helped me.
Nice.
Not necessarily actually writing in them because I'm too busy creating them.
Yes.
But like the idea of, okay, there's a time period here, there's a time frame here.
Yep.
And that has what ultimately has helped me. I like to use my digital version, and I have digital versions, but I wanted to cater to both kind of people who
Sure.
wants to
I love
have
that. Yeah.
But the payment plans on my website, it was very important to me because I was trying to find a way to fairly price things because I need to make money too. I have a family to help support.
Sure. And this stuff is not inexpensive. It's very quality stuff, you can tell. So it's not inexpensive, I'm sure.
No, so like I've done research on everything. So even down to the paper that's inside.
Yeah.
It's a different weight of paper than what is a normal copy paper. You can feel it when you touch it.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And when you write on it, it's like
Well,
butter.
I work
Yeah.
for a card crafting company,
So
so
you
I
know for
know
sure.
the different weights on. You can tell. You
Yeah.
can tell when it's like
But some,
flimsy
you know,
or really good
Some
stuff. Yeah.
people don't understand or don't have that knowledge to know better or know the difference.
Yeah.
So
You
that
probably
was
do
really,
acid and lignin free, so it doesn't discolor. Like there's all.
Oh,
I just took you to a next
You
level,
did.
didn't I?
Level
Look
up.
at me. I'm
Leveling
not even a
up with Dan
crafter.
and Angie. Like, I'm gonna be like, okay, so Angie told me I had to do this stuff, so here we
Here we
go.
go. Next level.
But even outside of it, like I don't know anything about this stuff, but I am sort of OCD. And I am, just one point I want to touch on before you got into the payment plans is Angie teases me about being overly organized. She calls me Sheldon, like from Big Bang Theory and stuff.
Oh my
but,
gosh.
He is.
But the reality is, I am only that organized because in my day job, I write down everything I'm going to do. Everything that I do outside of it, the podcast, my writing, because I have to do that, or I've never been diagnosed with ADHD, but I will find half completed jobs all over the house if I don't have some sort of a.
Do you ever I'm sorry to cut you off, but do you ever just snap into it and you're like, oh my God, what am I doing?
Of course.
That's kind of what it is.
Yeah.
Your brain is always it's like a connected web. Your brain works in a mind map, but it doesn't ever go back to the starting point.
Right. So I'll come around a corner and find a vacuum cleaner in the middle of the room. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I was doing that. You know what I mean? That
Right.
kind of stuff. So,
Sometimes I like to joke and say I have the attention span of a goldfish. If I'm having a good day, I have the attention span of Dory.
oh, nice. But I can be laser focused if it's documented, if it's written down digitally or on paper, what I'm going to do. So I definitely value the art of using a planner, because that is partially why I am so organized with everything, because I write it all down. So it's
That's
True.
what
He
my
keeps us
journey
on
was.
track.
Absolutely. Like
Yeah.
this did not come from anything but planning.
Yep.
For sure. And the other part of that, you wanted to jump back to the payment plans.
Yes,
It was,
yes.
I had people reaching out to me. Of course, all small businesses, we struggle with our, initial capital,
Of course.
funding, things that I'm still like learning about and working through, trying to figure out what my next step can be.
Yeah.
A lot of times, if you're a small business owner, like every dollar counts. If you make a mistake, you want to make sure that your customer is not feeling like they've been gypped.
Yeah.
So if I mess something up, like will be honest with somebody, be like, listen, I butchered this. Like, I'm going to give you your money back.
But I love that. I love that about small businesses in general, because I have
It
purchased
shows your
things from
integrity as well.
I have purchased things from small businesses within some of this community, and sometimes it didn't turn out right, and sometimes it's like, here's the one that's not quite right, and here's another one that is right.
That's
So
exactly why I brought that one. So you guys could see, like, I even at one, I didn't like the way that I did the font. And I
Yeah.
was like, you know what? Let me just go back, get the new logo,
Yeah.
or not the new logo, but the high res logo.
Yep.
Throw it all in there and make sure that it comes out looking crisp.
Very nice.
So another part of it was the thing that we were talking about earlier, where you leave it to its own device and you come back and it took a mind
Went
of its
south,
own.
yeah.
That's what happened too.
Oh, no.
Exactly. My husband was like, Jackie, and I'm like, yeah. He's like, come here, and I'm like, all right. I just put something in the laminator, but let's hope it works out.
Oh no!
gosh.
You need a big red light like we need for when you're on air, like laminating.
Don't come in here.
Don't, like a flashing light on the door.
Well, a lot of times when I'm doing work outside, like if I'm doing a signage job or whatever, I like to time lapse myself.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So I can kind of have an idea of how long it took me to do that, so I can compile that data for future usage, for future pricing.
For rates. Oh, nice. That's
So,
brilliant.
all of these things that I'm doing, well, if somebody calls me in the middle of me time lapsing, it stops it.
You got to pause. Yeah.
Oh, no.
So then, well, that's good, because then you stopped working on it, and then you know that there was a gap.
Right, but sometimes it was not a call that I needed.
Oh,
yeah.
We've been
and
through that.
if I'm up on an 8-10 foot ladder and I'm like worried about
my
not
gosh.
falling off.
Can I tell you, I do want to hear about the payment plan, but the reason I ended up buying 2 sort of semi-professional cameras when we were doing videos of all the interviews is because before that we used my phone and her phone, and we were with like a professional photographer interviewing her in her studio, and I got a text message or something and my phone stopped recording. So on the way home from her interview, I went to
So
Best Buy
bad.
and bought a camera because I'm like, I can't deal with this anymore. It was so stressful.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes it's like putting that initial investment in
Yes.
is the hardest part.
Yep.
You trying to understand, is this worth it? Is this going to come back around for me?
Do I need
Yes.
this? Yeah. All
So
those questions.
that was the thing for the payment plans. It was, I had businesses reaching out to me. They're like, hey, I can't quite afford this.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be the person to say no, but I
Yeah.
also don't want to be the person who is not able to cover their bills.
yeah.
So I made sure that I worked with Shopify, which is where my website platform is.
Right.
And I set up payment plans. So people can
love
pay,
that.
a certain amount a month. I'm still getting paid up front. I can still make my bills.
Yeah.
But they have the opportunity to still get a quality product, a quality logo, quality branding.
Without breaking the bank.
Right.
Oh, that's
I love
awesome.
that. I love that you've thought about that part of it.
I do
We've all
too.
been there.
Oh, for sure. And I was pointing at the mixer just to say this was an example of where we invested. Not that
I was
could
I
say-
thought you were
I was like,
saying
it
wrap
was
it
the time
up.
to wrap it up. I
No.
was like, oh God, am I
We
talking
will
too
wrap
much?
up in a second, but I'm like, that's what I thought.
I saw your face, so I'm like, I wanted to clarify that. But this was an example of
Oh,
don't want to
yes.
spend the money, spent the money, and ever since we're both
It
like
is-
so much nicer.
Oh,
Absolutely.
It's the best thing ever.
you pour your money into something good once.
Yeah.
It's going to last you and you're going to enjoy using it.
And it saves
love it.
time.
Yes.
And time is money when
That
you're,
is right.
and that's the thing.
I think that's a great point that small businesses could take away from this with you doing that time lapse thing, because a lot of times I will go to vendor events and I see some great products and they're priced too low. They're priced too low. I would pay twice as much as what they had on there. Now, maybe some people wouldn't, but I feel like it's not enough. So I feel like that is a good way to kind of judge, okay, how much time am I spending, and then do the math and figure out how much time is it taking you to do this one item.
Super honest too.
And, you know, because sometimes I want to pay the person more for what they made because I know that took you more time than $5 worth
Right.
to me.
Right.
You know, you're worth more than that $5.
Yeah.
That's the struggle I had with the planners. People were like, you need to charge way more for that. And I thought about it and I was like, okay, let me see how much time it takes for me to print with this one printer.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why I want to invest in another one. This way I could, you know,
You
get a
can-
little bit more
Get more
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you're doing borderless printing, which is what I do,
Yeah.
it does not typically allow you to do a dual-sided print.
Oh, so you're
Yeah.
doing
So I'm printing evens or odds and then flipping it and then printing that.
Okay.
And you run a gamble of one sheet pulling out of order.
Right.
Yeah.
You run that gamble. So if I could have two printers, I might be able to avoid that
Yeah.
a little bit
Yeah.
more.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But you're always looking for ways to kind of improve to make
Absolutely.
that timing go down a little bit too. So you have obviously made a lot of great connections in the small business little community that we've gotten to know. But how are you keeping your name out there? How are you getting more business from these smaller mom and pops, as we may say?
So a lot of it is word of mouth and
Coming on
God.
podcasts.
coming on podcasts.
Do as much of that as you can.
Social media, I'm
honestly,
sure, right?
Social media, which I've been lacking on. I've just been in preparation of trying to figure out how I'm going to run my business on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
Because it's 2 months. That's not a short period of time.
Yeah.
So you got to pack up all your equipment and everything?
Oh, no, I cannot do
no,
that.
you can't.
Oh,
you
wow.
Think about
You know how much they
about-
charge you to travel with all that
So
stuff?
how will
That-
that's a tricky scenario.
So, a lot of small businesses, including myself right now, are doing what's called bootstrapping, kind of like pulling yourself up by the boots and using your resources that you have around you
Right.
to help you move along until you can step up to that next point.
Right.
And I'm very lucky. My sister-in-law was so willing to come over several times and like learn what it takes with cutting the stickers and all of that.
How to use the machines and how awesome is that?
wonderful.
So essentially, I have another laptop, and what I'm going to do this week is have them to where I can remotely go into the laptop that's at my house
Yep.
and pull up what she needs and just
I
you know
love
make it
that.
as easy as possible for her, because let's be honest, right now I'm not making enough to give her a salary that's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah, yeah.
And she's just so awesome.
Well, that's amazing. And,
Shout out to Emily.
shout out to Emily.
Emily.
For sure. So, yeah, you just basically, it's a remote team is what you'll have running
That's
things
it.
for you, which is great.
That is pretty cool.
Before we do wrap up, I also wanted to ask about the stickers for a cause thing.
You know I was going there.
Oh, were you?
Oh yes, I'm so
Yeah.
excited. I'm so excited about that.
Stickers that save. That
Yes.
is really cool. We always love when we hear of people that are giving back. So tell us about why you started this.
So I'm so happy you guys touched on this. Like I have goosebumps again. I have
We do a little bit of research before you come here.
Hey, I appreciate
But we
that.
like a lot of surprises, so we try not to like super delve in,
Script
but
the
we
whole
need
thing,
to
yeah.
know like a little
Of course.
bit. You know.
So like with the stickers that save, that's something that I really want to dive in more to this year. I was really proactive in like putting it out there. And the reason I put it out there without actually having anything in it yet is because I wanted people to know that they could approach me with a cause.
Yeah, because these stickers are designed from somebody that's maybe going through something or struggling, or they have a
Absolutely.
charity they really want to give to. And that is where the design element is going to come from, correct?
Exactly. So I will sit with the person or people who are helping out with the cause and be like, okay, let's think about ideas about what is related to your cause. How can we bring that into a more mainstream like form of thinking? Something that people wouldn't mind, like, slapping onto their laptop or, putting on something and not just saying, ooh, I bought this for a charity. And then they put it in their junk drawer.
That's the challenge because Angie and I have talked about
It's
that.
got to be
with-
something trendy and
How do you-
eye-catching.
Right.
Yeah, how do you take your brand and make it into something that someone just thinks is cool looking in general? And
Or
that's
your cause, yeah.
or your which I love because you're spreading the word, but you're also doing it in such a way that it's something someone would want to put on their laptop or on a.
Right.
I love
Makes
that.
if all of the wheels are oiled,
Yeah.
then it's all going to continue to flow. And
Yeah.
that's where I wanted to think about it, the aspect of the person who's purchasing and supporting the cause, the people who are actually reaching out to get help for their cause. And me in general, I like to have a little bit of a challenge. So like, why not sit and talk about it and brainstorm and get to that point where you're like, oh my goodness, yes, let's greenlight it. Let's go.
Yeah.
I love that.
And I'm waiting for someone to actually come to me and be like, hey, I have a cause. Let's do it.
Here it is, guys. It's right here. You're hearing it. So let's reach out to Bhatta Designs and come up with an idea. And guess what? All the profits, correct?
Yes.
That's
are
what I was
going
gonna
to
ask.
the cause.
All of the profits will go to that cause.
Now that is amazing. That is
Yeah.
amazing. So it's a win-win across the board for any charitable
Absolutely.
organization that's trying to bring awareness to their cause. It's very cool that you're doing that.
Well, thank you.
Love
I
it.
don't know. I love to give back. I love to be a help and a support. And even if it's not benefiting me like lucratively,
But it
it's-
is in a certain way.
in a certain way, it is marketing, and it always comes back to that.
Yeah.
But
But it
initially,
makes you feel
wasn't-
good too.
Right.
So
It
it's
wasn't
that
my first-
feeling you get of just
That
being able
was-
to give back, right?
That was definitely the top priority for me. It was like, oh my gosh, I love the feeling I get when I'm like helping somebody,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's really what it stemmed from.
That is awesome, girl. Well, you keep doing that. That is amazing. And hopefully we'll get some people that hear this and they're like, yep, I have something. Let's move forward with this. And
Absolutely.
Let's
Let's
put
do
a
it.
cool thing together that people will start recognizing the sticker, right?
Right.
Or recognizing it as, oh, that's for that cause.
Yeah.
And then then it
can like
gets impressed in
it
the
could
brain.
bloom
you
into
know?
a million different things.
That is really cool. I love it. Well, where
I do
can
too.
everybody find you if they want some more information about what you do?
So, I am on just about everything, but if you really want to dive deep into what I currently have available, it will be on my website, bhattadesigns.com. I will spell it out for everybody because
Actually, you don't have to.
Don't
we'll put
have
a
to.
link in the show notes.
Oh, you know what?
On podcast, you just scroll right down and
Beautiful.
click the link, baby.
Yeah.
Click the link,
Life
guys.
is easy.
I'm on Facebook, Instagram,
Do you have the
TikTok.
links to your from your socials?
I absolutely do.
On your main website?
I
You
do.
Yep,
Okay, I
they are.
figured.
They're at the bottom.
Very nice.
They're
Awesome.
there.
All right, Jaclyn, thank you so much for coming over, sitting around for the kitchen table talk or dining room table talk, whatever we're calling it these days. But anyway,
you guys for having me.
we
I'm so
appreciate you so
excited.
much and what you're doing.
Do your
Yes.
thing. Do your thing.
It
I'm
was,
excited.
It was
doing
really
it.
fun having you on. And when you come back next time, we're going to say she's back and badder than ever.
You guys, stop
Love
it. You did not. Dan, you did not do that.
I forgot to bring that up. Like your little sayings on your website are awesome. Oh my gosh, I love the little take on that.
Yeah, me
But
too.
guys, remember also you can scroll down, hit the Patreon link, go ahead and subscribe as a subscriber. I don't know what you're called on
It's a
there.
subscriber.
A patron.
A patron.
That's what you are. Thank you
Yes.
so much. Help us support the show and help us to support more small businesses in our area. I got a little blooper there, but whatever.
We'll keep it. We'll keep
We'll
it.
keep it. And oh my gosh. Just remember, at the end of each and every day, it's all fine and dandy.
You're so cute.
I left the mics hot this time.
Whatever.
Does that mean that they're still on?
They're still on.
Oh, okay.
Whatever. Angie
cool.
messes stuff up.
Be cool. Be cool.
Hey.